Okay, y'all. This is the third time I'm doing this because every time I press pause, it stops my recording, so I have to start all over again. We're doing inverses today. It's our last lesson of this trimester. But first, I just want to tell you, we're going to do like a side step. If you want, you can jump ahead maybe like 5 minutes and actually get to the notes. But I just wanted to do this because this is one thing that I had a lot of people say, like, this is the only thing that I actually took away from Algebra 2 that was useful for me. So I'm doing it because why not? Okay, so when I was growing up, my dad, his dating rule was that I could never date anybody younger than half my age plus 7. Half of A plus 7, right? That's the minimum. And I was like, okay, well, let's say that I'm 16 years old. I wasn't at the time. I was like 12 at the time. I was like, I want to date this boy. Well, if I do 1/2 times 16 plus 7, that is 8 plus 7, which is 15. So if I'm 16 years old, I cannot date anybody younger than 15. And I went, wait, that means I can date somebody that's like 25? And he's like, no, no, no. Their rule has to match as well. Right? So the oldest would have to be the inverse of this. I'd have to be able to solve it backwards, right? So for the maximum, what I can do is I can take an age minus 7 and then multiply it by 2, right? It's the same thing as this, just backwards. Here I divided by 2 and then I added 7. So to go backwards, I would have to subtract the 7 and then multiply it by 2. So at 16, what's the maximum? Well, 16 minus 7 is a number that's 9, right? So 2 times 9 is 18. So my minimum of dating when I was 16 was 15 and my maximum was 18. I couldn't date anybody outside of that. Now, some people ask me, well, doesn't that always mean that like if somebody's 19, you can never date them? Well, no. If I was 17, maybe I'd be able to date them then, or maybe 18. I'm not sure. I'd have to do the math again. Right? But if you have like a sweetheart that's a little bit older than you and is outside of your range right now, my dad's rule is that you can wait a couple years and then it's okay. So, you do you. So if you're dating a 25-year-old, just maybe pause until you're old enough for their minimum to be your age. All right. Now, and you can do this for any year. Like this is 3 years range, right? Like I can date somebody 1 year younger or 2 years older. And that doesn't stay the same the whole way. I'm 31 now. But I'm going to use 30 because it's an even number and I like that better. Okay, so if I do half of 30 plus 7, that's 15 plus 7. That's 22. That's too young in my heart. No offense. My personal rule was nobody that I could have taught. So I started teaching in 2012, and if anybody graduated in 2012, that's weird for me. You know? Okay, and then what's the other way? 2 times 30 minus 7. Well, 30 minus 7 is 23. So that is 46. Oh, that's also too old for me. So a 30-year-old could technically date somebody that's 22 or 46. That is okay in my dad's book. Now, it's not you might notice that like if I did 13, then my minimum's older than my age. And then if somebody else was 13, it'd be like backwards, right? So I couldn't, by this rule, I couldn't start dating till I was 14. Don't tell my dad. I totally did. I totally did anyways. But don't tell him, okay? Okay. So this is my minimum. If you're 16, your minimum age that you can date is 15, and your maximum age that you can date is 18. Now, if you want to do this for your age and it's an odd number, we always said to round up. Just, you're growing up. Good job. Congratulations. So if you're 17 and you do this, you can round up that decimal point to the next high number. And just do it. It's fine. Or you can say, like, I can't date anybody older than 15 and a half or whatever it is. I don't know the actual number. Okay, so that is my aside for inverses because this is the inverse of this. Okay, let's get ready. Let's get ready to rumble. Also, just for the record, that rule wasn't just my dad's. I thought it was. Just like I thought that the pancake recipe he told me was a family secret was actually from the Joy of Cooking cookbook, but I digress. This was not just his rule, and I'm kind of mad about it, but it's okay. So anyway, so inverse functions undo each other. They like untie it. Ooh, 442, that was pretty good. I wish I could go back in time and tell myself that you don't want to skip forward 5 whole minutes, just 4.5. It's fine. Okay, so if this is my original function, then this is my inverse function. That's how that works. So to find the inverse, I should pause while I do this. That's fine. First, find the inverse. First of all, we're going to switch x and y. That's not how we spell switch. Come on, pen of magic. So we're going to swap them. We're going to swap the x and the y. Also, just as a reminder, f of x means y. So if you see an f of x, it's the same thing as writing y. So don't stress out if it says f of x. I'm going to show you an example. It's okay. Calm down. And then solve for y. Or rearrange the equation for y. And then usually what we do is we replace y with this inverse, which is f negative 1x, which means inverse. And if you didn't watch this video, you don't know that. Glad you're here watching this. Some of you just go through the notes. Okay, so let's do an example of that first. So let's find the inverse of f of x equals 2x cubed plus 4. Let's find the inverse of that. Okay, so I'm going to switch x and y. I'm going to turn this lamp on so it's a little bit brighter. Now it's more blue. Yuck, that's fine. Okay, so we're going to switch x and y. This is really a y. Okay, so I'm going to swap them. So instead of y equals 2x cubed plus 4, we're going to write x equals 2y cubed plus 4. So instead of f of x, I wrote x. And instead of x, I wrote y. Okay, and then I'm going to solve this for y. I don't want y over here. I want y to be alone. So I have to subtract the 4. I'm following PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Okay, so with PEMDAS, I'm doing it backwards, right? SADMEP is PEMDAS backwards. So I undid the addition first. And here I have a multiplication and an exponent. So I'm going to undo the multiplication first. I'm going to divide both sides by 2. You have two options here. You can either write x minus 4 over 2, or you could write x over 2 minus 2, because you can like actually simplify this, but I don't really care. Okay, what undoes a power? A root, right? What undoes a cubic power? A cubic root. Man, I feel like I'm so cool. So we're going to do the cubed root of x minus 4 over 2. And that equals y. But do you remember what I said earlier is I'm going to replace that with an f inverse. So I'm going to say the inverse function of x equals the cubed root of x minus 4 over 2. Hey, we did it. Okay, I chose that one specifically because I wanted to show you what undoes a cubed. But this can work for like 2x plus 7. It could work for 1/2 x plus 7, like my example in the earlier days. Those are all options here. So it's not always going to be this specific, but it is going to do this thing. All right. Okay, so second of all, what if I gave you two functions and I asked you if they are inverses? So to check whether two functions, I hate doing this, I should pause it. I've been pausing it all day and it keeps stopping on me, so I don't want to do that right now. I'm like PTSD'd about my stupid computer. Our inverses. Here's the deal. You either can just do this process and see if you get the same answer as the other one, or we're going to plug in one function into the other and see if we get x out, and everything else will cancel. Okay, that's the goal, is to get x at the end. Got to get them x's right. Don't come at me like that. All right, hold on, I need to fix this. Okay, so for example, f of x equals 8x cubed, and g of x equals the cubed root of 2x. Now again, I could So I could do what I just did to this problem and see if I get that one or vice versa, right? That's an option. But I'm actually going to do this problem right now. So I'm going to, I can either plug this equation in for x in this one, or I can plug this equation in for x in this one. Really doesn't matter. I prefer to take the gross looking function and plug it into the cuter looking function. You know how it goes. So I'm going to take, I'm going to write it like this, kind of weird. So it's going to be f with g plugged into it. Okay, so that means f with g plugged into it. So 8, and then instead of x, leaving some space here because it was an x, instead of x, we're going to write what g is, the cubed root of 2x. Okay, if everything cancels out and only x is left, we're good. If something else is left, we're not good. It's not an inverse. So I'm going to start from the inside out. This is just a 2x, but I can do the cubed root cubed. Those will cancel each other out, right? Hold on. I'm going to show you all these steps because some people don't watch these videos. So I get 8 times 2x. That's not just x, that'll be 16x. Okay, so here's what we say. We say because f of g of x does not equal x, these are not inverses. Now, if I do plug them in and they work, then I would say that they're inverses. So if I just got x, no 16, just x, then I would say because f of g of x equals x, these are inverses. Okay, so if I get that it's just equals x, I would say that instead. Let me see if I can write that out for you. Okay. On like a Google form, I probably won't make you write all that out because that's kind of gross, but that's the idea, right? If it equals x, they are inverses. If it doesn't equal just x, they're not inverses. And that's all she wrote. I hope that this very last lesson made you feel accomplished. We're going to get back to more of this stuff, obviously, but for right now, congratulations, you did it. You made it to the end. I am so proud of you. Keep it up. All right, bye.